I'm not going to lie, at the end of Sunday, I thought the waiver wire was going to be pretty dank. We only had one quarterback surpass 300 yards in passing, and there were not many wide receivers exceeding expectations, so there were not many wide receivers that we were going to be excited about. Unfortunately, the injury bug came out, started biting some players. At the end of Sunday, Brandon Aiyuk went down. His season's over with. So that means Jauan Jennings is going to be seeing some opportunities. Deebo Samuel's dealing with an illness. Might be out for a bit, might not. We're going to pay attention to him. But Jauan Jennings hit earlier this season when the depth chart opened up for him, and now it's opening up for him again. We're going to deep dive him today, see whether or not you need him for fantasy football. But before we do, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because we're doing these deep dives every day on as many players as possible. We're going deep on the waiver wire, a bunch of wide receivers and running backs for those deeper leagues. And on top of that, we're using these videos to help you set those lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching you. You do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. But Brandon Aiyuk's out for the year. Tore that ACL. He's done. He's not coming back. Deebo Samuel has pneumonia. We're wishing him a speedy recovery. Should be back sometime. Might be sooner than later. We're just going to have to keep tabs on Deebo. Deebo's a tough dude. He'll be back, though. Jauan Jennings missed last week. He was out due to a hip injury. He's going to be back this week, or should be back. They're looking forward to him being back. Shanahan even mentioned that in a press conference, that he's looking forward to him coming back. Didn't say he will be, but odds are saying probably coming back. We got the Dallas Cowboys coming up in Week 8. Very interesting matchup there, as teams can put up fantasy points on the Cowboys. But honestly, we're looking long-term here, because Brandon Aiyuk's going to be out. The depth chart here is turning over to be favorable for Jennings, and we got to deep dive him some more. And he's rostered on just 45.6% of leagues on ESPN. So you probably have him rostered in your league, and you're just wondering what's going to happen with Jauan Jennings, and you're probably what's going to happen with some of these other wide receivers. We will talk about them as well, but Jauan Jennings has been in the league for a little bit. 27.3 years old. Remember him back at Tennessee. Has some good size on him at 6'3", 215. He's a very dependable wide receiver, and the 49ers has him signed through 2025. You can say, hey, Brandon Aiyuk, they were dealing with his contract, but they're not going to extend him out past that mark unless they like him, because there's other wide receivers on the market. They like him. They see what he can do on the field. They want that on their team. They got that on their team. And he hasn't been very productive throughout his career. This is probably going to be his best season when it comes to yardage and touchdowns. And he's probably going to surpass a lot of those markers, especially when it comes to catches, yards, targets, and everything else, especially with the depth chart being the way it is right now. And Deebo Samuel should be back, will be back sooner than later. Brandon Aiyuk out for the season. That opens things up for Jauan Jennings. Another guy you got to pay attention to is Pearsall. We'll talk about him later in the video, and on top of that, he's going to get his own deep dive, because we deep dive as many players as possible. I'm not here to sell you on Jennings. I'm here to stay right down the middle as much as possible so you can make your decision. But he was productive to an extent. A 46.5 fantasy point performance in PPR against the Rams in Week 3. The next week, 11.8 PPR fantasy points. Looks good in the box score, but just a wide receiver. 3 for that week, averaging 13.9 points per game on the season, mainly due to Week 3. But he showed you that upside. He showed you what he can do. He can get some volume in this offense. And after Week 3, he started getting more targets in this offense as well. And you're looking at the targets lost here. Brandon Aiyuk was the most targeted wide receiver in this offense, mainly because he played the most games. On top of that, he was getting good air yards. He was getting a good target share. He was getting a good work rate in this offense. That has to go somewhere. Usually when a wide receiver goes out, it does not funnel straight to the next wide receiver. That's not how that works. It kind of sprays around. The offense starts to move at a different pace. Usually it's slower. More work to the running backs maybe. More work to some of the ancillary wide receivers. But Jennings has some run in this offense. Has looked good in this offense. And Purdy likes to target him. Purdy definitely likes to target Deebo. They should both be getting work in this offense. but you're also looking at Ricky Pearsall there. It's like angels in the outfield, and you see that angel behind him, and you're wondering what's up with that. And Ricky Pearsall, first round draft pick, 4'4", 140-yard dash, good size, adjusted athleticism, 6'1", 189. He's a very sudden route runner who's very aggressive at the catch point. Very fun to watch, improved throughout his career at college. We will do a deep dive on him. This video is really about Jennings, but Ricky Pearsall last week led the team in routes ran, 83.8% route participation rate. This is a wide receiver to monitor throughout the rest of the season as well. This is a rookie that could break out on us. You may want to stash him. Jennings is the favorable player. The market is saying that. They're saying get Jennings first, Ricky Pearsall next. They're saying Ricky Pearsall has some upside. Ricky Pearsall is a good stash play going forward. I'll say that. He's a good stash play going forward. He's got some talent. He fits well in this offense. He could play that Aiyuk rule. It might look a little different, but he could attempt that because he's got the speed, the suddenness, the ball skills, and the nuance to break things off and to make an impact in this offense. This is his first game on an NFL field. 31 routes ran, 5 targets, 16.1% target share. Sharing the field with George Kittle, Brandon Aiyuk, and company. Ricky Pearsall has some upside. He's already flashing it on the field. Something to pay attention to. Pick your poison there. Jauan Jennings more of the sure thing. Ricky Pearsall more the unknown that has immense upside because he fits very well in this offense. If you can't wait for the deep dive, I got a million videos of him throughout draft season talking about him. You don't need Jauan Jennings because you're good at wide receiver, you're worried about Pearsall, you're worried about the offense, you think things will go a different direction. He did not hit good enough for you. It's just good enough for week 3, and then after that, you don't care. You're stashing him. You need a wide receiver. You know he's going to get that work. His targets did go up when he was getting that run during that time, especially after week 3. You've seen him get more work in the offense. This is a wide receiver to pay attention to because of that work, because of the volume. That being said, Jauan Jennings should be picked up in every league. Doesn't mean you need to pick him up, but Jauan Jennings needs to be rostered in every league. His roster share should be like 85 to 95% right now. Right after these waivers run, that should increase. He should be one of the top waiver wire claims due to the market, not me, due to the market saying, hey, this guy hit before, he's sliding into this role. Things should just really converse for him, be good for him in this offense, and that's probably what we're going to see. He's probably going to get some good run in the offense, probably going to have some moments as well as we get later on down the road. I will have a deep dive on Ricky Pearsall. He's actually one of my favorite wide receivers from this year's draft to talk about because he was very dramatic in Dynasty Fantasy Football because all of a sudden he got drafted in the first round and he received a lot of hate in fantasy football and his value crashed, which made you like him again because he was so cheap. Usually you shouldn't get first round wide receivers that cheap, but I'm going to save it for that video because I got a lot to say about Ricky Pearsall. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.